I have been invited by ERPIC to give you a presentation about the forthcoming Greek elections, which are scheduled on the 25th of this month, of the 25th of June. These are the second elections to be held in Greece, general elections, within a month. The previous elections took place on the 21st of May. The results of the May 21st elections came close, but did not provide the ruling conservative government of Prime Minister Mitsotakis, Kyriakos Mitsotakis, with a parliamentary majority, even though it came very close and he had a very big spread, comfortable 20% spread over his main opponent, the leftist Syriza party. The 21st of May elections had taken place under the electoral system of proportional representation legislated by the Syriza party. It is a custom in Greek politics, an unfortunate custom, I must say, that every time there is a new government, it changes the electoral system to be effective in the next elections, in the election, not the next elections, but the elections after, so that it fits its own estimate of its power. The upcoming election of June 25th will take place under Mitsotakis' preferred system, which is reinforced representation. Mitsotakis hopes to retain his comfortable 20% lead over Syriza and thus obtain a comfortable majority in the next parliament. In the elections of May 21st, he came very close, but he was not able to obtain the needed majority. So he passed on the mandate that was given to him by the president. The president passed it on to Syriza. The Syriza could not, the second party could not formulate a government. It was passed on to the third party, the PASOK party, and therefore, with the three major parties being unable to formulate a government, we went to the second elections scheduled, as I said, on the 23rd, on the 25th of June. Polls so far indicate that Mitsotakis will keep that spread. In May, he scored over 40% plus, and he expects and he wants in the June elections to score the same or at least over 38%. He needs a minimum 38% to obtain a majority of the seats in parliament. There will be 7 parties competing in these elections. The New Democracy Party, headed by Mr. Mitsotakis, the Syriza Party, headed by Mr. Alexis Tsipras, which polled 20% in the May 21st election, and the once mighty Socialist Party of PASOK, which polled around 12% in the May elections. The fourth party is the long-standing Communist Party of Greece, with a percentage hovering around 70%, and there will be 3 fringe parties, small parties. The 3 small parties must obtain at least 3% for them to obtain parliamentary seats. The beneficiary of the small parties not making it will be New Democracy due to the electoral system in operation. The consensus from the May win of Mitsotakis, the consensus today, considering the May win of Mitsotakis, is that he's expected to win primarily because the economy has been doing fairly well, something that the main opposition party, Syriza, cannot provide any alternative. Besides, its past record and its current policy declarations indicate that the program, given the existing circumstances of today, is not feasible. But most importantly, there is an almost radical development given Greek politics, which at other times Greek politics has been a byword for instability. The May election demonstrated an electorate that is interested in stability and continuity. Again, I indicate that this is something I almost characterize as radical in terms of past Greek politics. Surprisingly, young voters of the age between 19 and 25, which historically have formed the front of extremism and demonstrations and riots, etc. The majority of this age group has voted, and I think again it's the first time voted for the conservative New Democracy Party. On the record, Mr. Mitsotakis has expressed willingness to form a coalition government, even if he doesn't obtain the majority that he actually needs and hopes for. And he indicated that he's certainly willing to form such a coalition government with the PASOK socialists, not with Syriza, with the PASOK socialists. But the PASOK leadership is unwilling to cooperate in this regard. Specifically, its leader has mentioned that even if Mr. Mitsotakis wins 149 seats, in other words, one short of a majority, he's unwilling to form a coalition government with him. He goes on to say, the PASOK party, that they would certainly not consider forming any coalition with the current, with Mr. Mitsotakis as the leader. Under such prospects, Prime Minister Mitsotakis has been talking of the possibility of a third election in August if he does not obtain the majority, explaining that he has no option because a coalition, according to the opposition, is not feasible. In my opinion, a third election is unlikely to happen because Mitsotakis will obtain the majority that he needs. But it seems that Mr. Mitsotakis is using currently the alarm tactic of threatening a third election in order to ensure that his voters remain united and do not go elsewhere, either to the opposition or even to the Communist Party. I must say here that the cost of a general election in Greece, or the current cost of the election, of the past election, was about $400 million. So if we have another one, which we're having another one in June, that adds up to 800, almost reaching $1 billion. You can imagine that a third election will exceed $1 billion, reaching perhaps $1.5 billion. And by the way, scheduling an election in August in Greece, it is something that the Greek electorate or the Greek voters will certainly look askance at. Theoretically, what would happen if a majority is not obtained is a third election. But if the logic of a non-majority works, are we going to go to a fourth election? Is Greece jealous of the Israeli experience, wants to beat the Israeli record of going to a fourth and fifth election? The pollsters, like I didn't say this, I expressed my opinion, but the pollsters anticipate a Mitsotakis win in the upcoming election. In the remaining 3 weeks or so, Mitsotakis needs to discipline himself and discipline his cadres to behave moderately and not to flaunt the potential majority win. I say this because there has been concern expressed about Mitsotakis' governing style and a tendency towards authoritarianism. And there have been a number of instances and occasions, especially with proven malpractices about surveillance, that have raised a lot of concerns about within voters about this kind of behavior. Greek voters, a good number of them, may be turned off with this kind of behavior and choose perhaps not Syriza, but PASOK, or maybe the Communist Party, and even the other fringe parties. In that sense, Mitsotakis will suffer and may even lose the majority that he seeks. One final comment I want to say, and this has to do with the Syriza party. The Syriza party is a leftist party which governed Greece a few years back before Mitsotakis took over. And in the May elections, it witnessed a very massive defeat. It lost about 20% of its voters. Under normal circumstances, the leadership of a party that suffers such a resounding defeat in the polls resigns. And actually, in the past, Mr. Alexis Tsipras has stated for the record that if a party loses more than 5% in a general election, it must go through a leadership change. But we all know that Tsipras has not resigned. He, in fact, is leading his party in the June 25th election. And his leadership position will once again be on the line. And if his party suffers, I mean, the party, in my opinion, will lose. But if he goes well beyond the 20%, the question will arise about his leadership and whether he will bite the bullet and resign. We should wait and see what the results of the June 25th election will bring. Thank you for your time.